Hello there and welcome to Genesis Models. What we've got is our inbox review of the HS Buccaneer S2, S2C, S2D, the SMK50. This is made by Airfix. It's 1:48 scale. A little hard to get hold of these days, but I mean, if you look around on eBay and everything, they're pricing up at around about maybe £30, £35 or something like that. So just to get started, we're going to take a look at our instructions. It is a bit of an old kit, but to be honest with you, the instructions do look quite nice and simple. I do like the way our colours here are all nicely labelled. It isn't just the usual, you know, here's the Humbrol number and you've just got to use Humbrol. They do actually give you the name of the colour, so you can kind of cross-reference that with other sort of manufacturers if you want to use other manufacturers. Looking through cockpit, I mean, by the looks of it, we're going to be sticking decals down. I'm going to have to check in a bit to see what kind of detail we've got in our cockpit area, and hopefully it's not just a decal thing. Does look quite nice and simple actually. Air intakes, landing gear, doesn't look really much of an issue. We've got a top fuselage section, bottom fuselage section. Looks like that just simply glues together. Our wings here, that just looks like a top and a bottom, and yep, you just basically stick them to the fuselage section. You got an option to have up or down. Yep, coming through. Yeah, fuel tanks both for the S50 and S2, S2C, S2D. Yeah, different fuel tanks there. You got some weapons by the looks of it, rockets, some freefall bombs. What markings we've got here? We've got the number 809 Naval Air Squadron, Fleet Air Arms, HMS Ark Royal, 1970. We've got the number 809, no, hold on, yeah, same squadron, HMS Ark Royal, but 1976. We've also got the 800, number 800 squadron, HMS Eagle, 1966. And we've also got number 24 squadron, South African Air Force, 1970. So you've got some nice options for markings there, which brings us along to some decals, which you get a nice big massive sheet of decals here, which I mean, looking at them, they seem to all nicely be in registry. They feel like they're quite fit. Oh, hold on. No, we're okay. I thought for a second there it was one of those big old film things, but no, they do slide off separately. They're looking a bit matte, but that's no big problem. But yeah, they do look nice, and they do feel really thin. But yeah, we'll see how they go on. For this model, here we go. We've got our pieces here. I'll just get my blade. Okay, just cutting this out of the bag. It's the first time I've had a proper look at this, so I'll be seeing this as you see it. First sprue here, we've got some nice freefall bombs. We've got some pylons with our rockets here, and they do look nicely detailed. Recessed panel lines, we've got riveting going on. We've had some slightly scratching going on in the bag here, and this is because they're all, the sprues are bagged up together. Little bit of sanding, should be able to take care of that, no problem. Moving along, I mean, actually these gear doors are actually looking really nicely detailed, to be honest. We have got three ejector pin marks, which are not very nice, to be honest with you. be a bit tricky to sand them out, but you know, you've got some ejector pin marks there where you don't want them. Our cockpit tub, yes, it has no detail on it, so the only detail you've got, and the same goes for the instrument panels, there's no detail on them at all. So the only detail you're going to have is these decals, which is a bit of a shame, but you got to remember it's an old kit, and you know, if you have cockpit canopy closed, it shouldn't really hurt that much, and you know, the decals can look quite nice anyway. I am seeing quite a bit of flash as well here and there, but that's just a bit of extra work trimming it. But as I say, this is a bit of an old kit, so you've got to kind of expect the whole ejector pin marks not in the right place, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we've got some quite nasty, I don't know how well you can see that, but you've got quite a bit of nasty sinkaging going on there, if you can see that. But still, I mean, it looks good. I mean, it looks pretty like a nice solid kit. How well it goes together, I can't really comment on that yet, but I will do, because I will be building this model. In fact, I've got 2 of these models to build. We're bringing out the main structure of the aircraft now out of this bag. And the first thing I've already noticed, which I'm going to point out now, is these awful pilots. I mean, if you can see that on camera nicely, I mean, they are awful. It's just a slight shape, it's a shape of a human being, but there's just no detail going on whatsoever. You know, they are not going to go in this aircraft. I mean, I'm not putting pilots in the aircraft I'm going to be building, and even if I was gonna, I would not use these pilots at all. They are awful. But looking at some of our detail here, we have actually got some nice recessed panel lines. The riveting does look nice. Looking at this bit, we've still got some scratching here where the sprues have rubbed in the kit, in the bags. We do have raised riveting detail as well to go with our recessed panel lines and riveting. That's the I think that's the air brake at the back, and that's all raised riveting going on there. And if you're going to close it and you've got to glue these together, you've got to be really careful when trying to like maybe sand out a seamless seam line, because when you've got raised rivets, it's a lot harder to put rivets back in that are raised compared to putting rivets in that are recessed. So that's going to potentially be a bit tricky. But yeah, that looks good. It looks like our main frame has fallen off the sprue. Looking at this again, it's nicely detailed recessed panel lines and riveting. I mean, it's not so consistent in the sense that you are going to have to go around with your P cutter and just do a bit of rescribing here and there, just where it's some of the recessed panel lines are not as deep as everywhere else, and you want your wash to go in there, so you've got to kind of rescribe it a bit just to make the panel recessed panel line a bit deeper. Same with the rivets, but I mean, it does look good. You do kind of get it. I mean, the whole surface doesn't seem to be nice and smooth. It does seem to have a slight a roughness to it, only slightly. So maybe potentially do an all over sanding just to smooth it all down. But I think you might be able to get away with it. It's not that bad. It's just slightly on the rough side. Top fuselage section again, I mean, recessed panel lines, you know, they look good, a little inconsistent, potentially a bit on the over large size, not too much, not exactly completely in scale, but they do look really nice for an old kit. Wings here, they look nice again, raised recess kind of lines, and raised ones as well. They look nice. Yeah, actually, I mean, this kit does look like, you know, it is old, so you're going to have to put a bit of extra work in here and there regards doing a bit of extra scribing. You know, I did notice there was 1 or 2 ejector pin marks in the wrong place to sort out. It is a bit of a shame on the cockpit area, but you could do a bit of scratch building there, or you can buy aftermarket parts. But I think you'll probably get away with it if you go with closed canopy. But yeah, yeah, it does look good. Where's my blade gone? There we go. Just bring out our canopy now, just to have a look at what we've got here. And as it's a shame it's come off the sprue. Looking at it, it does look nice and clear, but there is a bit of scratching going on. Again, this is down to packaging. Basically, it's come off the sprue inside the bag, and it's done a bit of rubbing and a slight bit of scratching, so a bit of sanding on that just to sand that out. But actually it does look quite nice, to be honest, as long as we haven't got any scratching inside, because that's a lot harder to sand out. But yeah, they look quite good. This build I will be doing next. I'm going to be doing what is it? I think it's 801 Squadron with some extra markings, aftermarket decals that have been brought, which is just the markings, which are these ones here, which yeah, it is. It's 801 Squadron, Royal Navy, 1965, HMS Victorious. And these look quite nice as well. They're made by Free Guys replicas. These feel nice and thin actually. They should be quite good. So we're going to be sticking them on the next, and that's going to go up on the forum, so if you want to watch that build in progress. Conclusion, I suppose, really, at the end of the day, it does look like a nice build. It doesn't look as though it's going to be an absolute awful kind of fight you all the way kind of a build, and you're going to have loads of massive problems before you even start. I mean, as long as it kind of fits reasonably nicely together, it does look like a nice detailed kit. It is kind of a bit hard to get hold of now, and I think the price is quite high because of it's hard to get hold of. But yeah, I think this is a nicely recommended kit, and I am a bit of a fan of the Buccaneer, so you know, it's going to be a nice enjoyable kit. So until the next time, I hope you've enjoyed this out of the box review, and I hope you're going to enjoy the whole build process. So until next time, have a good day and goodbye.